Welcome back, America. Hugh and inside of Studio West, out in the West for 3 more days, and I get to go back to the Beltway. I am joined now by Abe Greenwald, who is the executive editor of Commentary Magazine. He's on the podcast almost every single day. Abe, welcome. I want you to know that earlier today, I talked to Danny Pletka, I talked to Michael Oren, I talked to Seth Mandel. We all talked about the same thing, so I want to dive into it with you. Iran and the bombing. I have a great degree of confidence that Donald Trump is going to bomb those sites if they don't throw the doors open. Very few people share my confidence. I think you're among the skeptics as well. Tell me where you are on the confidence in Donald Trump following through on his pledge to us that unless they dismantle that thing, the bombs will fall.
I'm not a total skeptic because I think one of Donald Trump's signal characteristics, and it's sometimes a great strength, is his unpredictability and his total willingness to do a 180 on any given policy. And if you look back to his first term as president, there was a moment where he was urged by White House staff and other national security figures to bomb certain Iranian targets. He was all set to do it, and he backed out. And then Iran kept provoking, and he took out, and Trump decided to take out Soleimani. So he is definitely not above changing his mind, changing tact on these things. At the same time, I have to say, I don't like where he's gone in terms of negotiations, even being open to it, in terms of talking about the viability or the possibility of a civilian nuclear program for Iran. I think that's all going down the wrong road. I think that's exactly what historically Iran and the mullahs like to play around with to buy time.
So let me play for you the latest iteration of that, and for the audience who may not have heard it when I played it in the first hour. This is Secretary of State Rubio with Barry Weiss today talking about just that thing. Can we play for Abe in the audience cut number 24?
The previous deal was bad for a number of reasons. It gave Iran immediate and full sanctions relief in exchange for enrichment capabilities that at any point could be weaponized in the future. They got to keep that permanently. They got to keep the sanctions relief permanently, and they only had to live by the enrichment limitations for a defined period of time. In fact, right now we are entering that period of time in which the requirements of that deal would have expired. So it was a bad deal all the way around. We gave them permanent concessions for temporary concessions on their part. So now we've reached that point. Let me make a second point, and that is the worst thing that we do not want a war. We do not want to see war. This is not a president that campaigned on starting wars. And as he said very clearly, Iran is not going to have a nuclear weapon, and he reserves every right to prevent that from happening, but he would prefer it not happen. He would prefer that there not be need to resort to military force either by us or anybody else. He would prefer that it be something that we can negotiate. The Iranians have shown a willingness to talk. We're going to talk to them. If there is a chance at peace, we're going to give peace and a peaceful resolution to this challenge, every opportunity to succeed. Our priorities remain the same. If Iran wants a civil nuclear program, they can have one just like many other countries in the world have one, and that is they import enriched material. Now, we're not going to negotiate this in the press. We're not going to negotiate this publicly because it undermines negotiations. But there's a pathway to a civil, peaceful nuclear program if they want one. But if they insist on enriching, then they will be the only country in the world that doesn't have a weapons program, quote unquote, but is enriching. And so I think that's problematic. But again, let's give peace every chance here to succeed. I don't want to see a war. The president certainly doesn't want to see one.
So, Abe Greenwald, that's not Munich. That's a red line, which is if they keep enrichment, the bombs are going to fall. That's what I hear. And I also believe give the opponent every opportunity to prove to the world that you've been given every opportunity and that you don't want it. That's what I think is going on, your counter.
Well, I think that's been done already. Look, I agree with Marco Rubio that the JCPOA deal was horrible and was a terrible deal. There are other forms of terrible deals. I think, to be honest, the Iran hawks, generally speaking, made a tactical intellectual mistake when after the JCPOA was agreed to, when this meaningless, unenforceable, sunsetting bad deal was agreed to, the argument that Iran hawks started to advance was, no, 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 no. We're not saying that there's no such thing as a good deal. It's just that this is a bad deal. And I have to say, I have always been on record, and I always have believed there is no deal. There is no good deal with Iran. They use symmetry, they use negotiations not to get to an agreed upon end. They use it to get gifts, get time, to buy time, and to elevate their status. Um, and there is absolutely no reason to think that they are not doing this all over again.
Oh, I agree with that, Abe. I don't think we'll ever get a deal with this regime because this regime doesn't want to live in peace with Israel and the United States. In the alliance of tyrants, they're the junior partner, but they're the most erratic and fanatical of the junior partners to China, and we're never going to get a deal with them. I just think that we need to give Trump some credit for knowing what he's doing in a negotiation, which is talk softly and draw a very bright line, which is you cannot enrich, and we're going to bomb the living daylights out of you if you do. I hear that, and I just don't believe there's any reason to doubt Trump on that. I hope I'm not wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. Last word to you.
Well, you're talking to someone I would very much like to give him the benefit of the doubt on this, because I think he's got a number of the issues, of the surrounding issues, particularly as they pertain to Israel, completely correct. I think that the story that broke in the New York Times, I guess it was last week, about the inner circle of his national security team going against assisting in an Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities was a misstep. I think he's trying too hard. The Trump administration is trying too hard to reassure Iran and to stave off an Israeli attack. I fear that projects weakness. And when America projects weakness at the negotiating table, the mullahs never fail to take full advantage of it.
But if they're listening, and that's a big if the mullahs are listening, they cannot not hear the bottom line in Trump, which is dump the program or we'll dump the bombs. I think it's that simple.
I think that's a distinct possibility. And look, remember, I started out by saying he did commit to a very bold strike to take out Qasem Soleimani. So Trump has a way of making fools of those who think they know what he's going to do. So I absolutely hold up.
That's the quote I'm looking for, because that is absolutely gospel truth. He has, and he's done it to me a few times. And so I'm now wizened in the way of not trying to read the president's mind. Abe Greenwald, follow him on X at Abe Greenwald. Listen to the Commentary Podcast. Be smart every morning. And subscribe to Commentary Magazine. I'll be right back, America. Sarah Bedford is next.